Good evening and welcome to the RT Show. I'm Richard and I have the pleasure of hosting alongside my fellow co-hosts Simon and Jez. Today we are joined by Nick Wood. He's a personal trainer. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good, thanks. Well done. Thank you.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna be delving into a show. It's been an interesting start of 2021. Obviously, we're still in a national lockdown. Um, and then obviously, what's been happening over the pond in America. So today we're going to talk about, obviously, we're going to talk about Trump and what happened on January the 6th. We'll go into keeping health and fitness during lockdown and what we can do to enable that. And we're going to lastly finish with a quick fire round of some WWE. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about obviously what happened at January the 6th in Washington. Just give a quick backstory. There were some riots from several groups supporting Trump's administration. They actually stormed the Capitol and went inside some of the historic buildings. Before I give my thoughts and opinions on it, I'll go around the podcast and see what your views are on it. I'll start with you, Jez. What's your thoughts about what happened January the 6th?
Yeah, when I think from me seeing it personally, I mean, there was two elements of it. I was surprised, but also not surprised in a sense that I knew something like this was brewing for so long. I think a lot of the incitement that Trump has been tweeting is banned from Twitter now, by the way. I don't think he's back on in any sense unless he's using a rogue account, but it's been inciting the fire for a long time. And I think some of the words he's put in place, he wanted to kind of, with him coming to the end of his reign, it's almost like this is my last chess piece. I'm moving now. I've done everything. I lost all my pawns. This is the last one to go checkmate. And I'm going to then, get all the guys in. And I'm not going to call them rioters, terrorists, really. That's, in my opinion, the terrorists, the damaging property that I was speaking to my mum about this actually the other day, that a lot of the African Americans had an influence on a lot of those buildings as well, building the structure of those buildings that are prominent to American society, to the people of America. And he should be embarrassed as a president, really. It's been an embarrassment anyway from the start, in my opinion. And the inauguration's tomorrow for Biden. So in my opinion, I mean, I've got no words for the guy. I mean, all I can say is good riddance, really. And from what's happened, it's such a shame on a country so big that has such a massive impact on the world, and everybody's eyes are watching that, how massive that impact has had. And they've got a lot of work to do now. I think it's given Biden and Harris a lot of work to kind of get the country back into where it needs to be, really, and get the people on side. I think you don't want to have that divide as there already is. You want to kind of get everyone together. And the people who did storm that building, I'm hoping they get dealt with in the right manner. And comparing it to how the Black Lives Matter situation happened was very interesting, because if it was a similar stance where, as you said, black people were storming a building of that nature, I'm not sure we'll be seeing one dead person. I think we might be seeing a lot more bodies potentially happening because of just a situation that kind of like the way the police are. I saw videos of police letting them in to the building. I saw a guy dressed up as JK, Jamiroquai. I mean, it's embarrassing, really. I mean, it's laughable in a sense because of people dressed up. And the worst thing is, some of these people are like in high-end jobs, directors of companies, and I saw one guy who I follow on Twitter who's used to star in The Wire, and he recognised that one of the people is like a CEO of one of the massive manufacturing, and another person was from a food company. So these people are like in big chain and stores and stuff, and you're thinking to yourself, well, why is, you know what I mean? What are they actually doing? They're ruining their own reputation. They're ruining their own businesses because people aren't going to go in there if they're knowing that they're supporting a regime based on the beliefs of white supremacy, which I believe is that, and that's what their thoughts were around the flag. Do you know what I mean? All those sorts of things kind of come into your mind, and it's just shocking in my opinion. And that's all I've got to say on that. Really, I think it's just good riddance, and you know what I mean. Hopefully, America can move on.
Thank you, Jez. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's yeah. I think a lot of people are sharing your views. Simon, I'm gonna throw it to you. What are your thoughts?
100% waste. He's he's incited insurrection, but it has all along. The language use that you mentioned there, Jez. Throughout his presidency, his language use has been inflammatory. When it's been anything that's not been right wing, people have been labelled rioters and looters. Again, predominantly, Black Lives Matter protests. That's how he was referring to the protesters. And then he referred to people who attacked the White House aside, but the main Democratic building is the equivalent of the Houses of Parliament, the Capitol building in America. He referred to those as good people. And he's a maniac. When he took office, I think lots of people were fearful he'd create a world war, but he ended, he's leaving office where he's almost at the point where he's starting a civil war, or he's inciting, people to bear arms and take to the streets. And I think he actually said that, didn't he, a couple of months ago? It was just, he is an embarrassment to the country. And the scary thing is, that this man could potentially run for office again, into whatever office that may be. It could be the presidency, it could be a governorship, could be as a senator, which is why I think the Democrats are so eager to have him impeached, even though he will have left office after tomorrow. But if the impeachment goes through, he won't be able to run for office again. And it has to go through, because somebody like that in a position of power that he's been in is so dangerous, and he's just proven that time and time again how dangerous he is. And Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Republican Party, the party that Trump, it's difficult to say represents, even though it is like the right wing, keep the rich party over there. He kind of goes beyond that, doesn't he? But yeah, Mitch McConnell, who's the leader of that party, has condemned Trump and said that he incited that. So when the leader of the party that you supposedly represent is speaking up against you, that speaks volumes in itself. He was never fit for office anyway. He was elected through his media personality, really, because he was famous. He was celebrity, and that's, unfortunately, I think in America that goes such a long way, as it has shown on many occasions. I know lots of actors and celebrities have been elected to office. Arnie, Jesse Ventura, Ronald Reagan. Some of them have made a half decent job of it, but it's just, he was just a completely different kettle of fish, and he's shown throughout his 4-year term that he's just been there to garner attention, it feels like, and create controversy. He's damaged the country so much that I think Biden said he's going to, on his first day, he's going to start getting rid of some of those policies that Trump put in place, because they've been so damaging. So he does literally need to start work as soon as he takes office, because the damage is is so massive. And then, you know, things are deep rooted in America and in the world, and we've spoken about this on previous shows many times. And Jez, as you pointed out, you know, there's CEOs from big companies were part of that attack on the Capitol, and they're, you know, they're in powerful positions as well. And it's so concerning that those kinds of people have those views and are supporting somebody like Trump, and going to the lengths that they've gone to try and deny democracy, which is what Trump was doing. Democracy had taken place. He just couldn't handle the fact, because he doesn't lose, does he? Let's face it, he's not a man that loses. But he lost. He lost the election, but he just can't come to terms with that. And that's all that was about. You know, it was his ego couldn't take the fact that he lost. So because of that, he incited a riot that could have turned out to be a heck of a lot more. It was serious enough as it was, but it could have been a lot more serious than it was. And in the long term, you know, who knows what that's going to lead to. And tomorrow, Biden's inauguration, that, you know, that there has to be more troops on the street than are currently serving in Afghanistan. You know, that's a whole different conversation, Afghanistan, but it just shows if they need to have that many troops there to try and stop Trump supporters creating havoc, there's something massively wrong with the democracy over in America at the moment. But that's been created by Trump in 4 years, and it's going to take a long time to try and undo that damage and then address the damage that was already there, that we all know about, that's in society. So yeah, you know, you could almost think it was unfathomable, but when you look at Trump's presidency, things have been brewing throughout, haven't they? And like I said, with his language use and his outlandish Twitter posts, he's waste. And that's it.
Yeah. Mic drop. Yeah. Nick, I'm gonna throw it to you. What's your opinion on Trump and the riots?
I'm not sure if there's anything to add after what Simon just said. To be honest, that was a mic drop. You were right. Yeah, I mean, Biden's got his work cut out for him, definitely. The next 4 years is going to be unraveling the damage that Trump has really done to the country, and probably the 4 years after that, and who knows how much longer. What happened on, was it the 6th of January? Was it?
Yeah, 6th of January.
Yeah, well, I heard bits and pieces about it, but I don't really watch the news that much, or because I just think it's toxic, to be totally honest. I'd rather stay away from it. I saw it the next day via just different like Twitter links and stuff popping up on my phone. So I just saw a few videos, and that was what I kind of saw. I think it sounds like you two boys have looked at it a lot more in depth than I probably have. But yeah, like Simon said, it's probably, like, it was lucky it wasn't worse than what it was, really. I mean, it was quite well contained, but it could have quite easily spread across the whole country, you know, different things going on. But yeah, I think, you know, Biden's got his work cut out for him, but pretty much what Simon just said really is my thoughts on it as well. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna add my 2 cents in now. It's echoing. It feels like it's going to be an echo chamber, but I just echo what's previously been said. But I think the thing that I found and I kind of looked into this, the thing I found quite alarming was that this has been brewing, especially throughout his presidency. But in terms of from he lost, he was this, like, what people need to understand when a president obviously gives his speech, it's not his words necessarily, that he's got a team behind him. He has speech writers. That speech gets put through many people before it gets to Trump. And the language that he's using, you know, he was saying that in some of his speeches, they're trying to indoctrinate our children. It's just the way the language it's a time for strength. These are some of the direct quotes that are coming from a president. And the worrying thing is that this man, this is like Trump is a result of what happens when you don't discipline your child. It's like we've watched him sit in the Oval Office, and he's been like a brat. And for me, the most worrying thing for me is that he's been allowed to do that. That no one stopped him, and the groups that were going up on Facebook from when he lost the election, the far right, I'm gonna include some of the groups like the Proud Boys. They were really, some of the messages that were going down. It was like, yeah, we're getting ready to do something, and these groups are obviously, they've like, you've got the CIA, you've got the FBI that are monitoring these sorts of. They should be monitoring these sorts of groups, and the fact that nothing was done to stop it, like there were tweets going out hours before what happened in January 6th. We're on our way. There were people gathering with their cars and stuff. So we're on our way and stuff like that. And the shocking thing is, you heard reports that there were people going in there with guns, zip wire, police issue like handcuffs and stuff like that. They were going. What were they planning to do? Were they planning to kidnap people? Were they planning to torture people? They were planning a coup. That's what it is. This isn't rioters. They're terrorists, as Jez said. They're traitors they're traitors to democracy, to what people stand for. And I think these people need to get the harshest sentences ever. And even if there needs to be a new act that punishes these sorts of domestic terrorists, because they've literally just, they say they support the troops and stuff like that. And this is what the troops fight for, democracy. And Donald Trump and his supporters have literally they've just disrespected it in the biggest way possible. But I think everyone's going to look back at this Trump presidency, and he's a failure. He's a failure. He promised to build a wall. That didn't happen. A lot of failures, and Biden and Harris have got their work cut out, as been said. I think the thing is there's still people out there. Like Trump had 88 million followers. I think 70 odd people still voted for Trump. So as much as we can say how much, because I think the media does polarize it, where it's the case where Trump supporters, it's like you're either Trump supporter or Biden supporter. There's no gray area. I think Biden and Harris's term is going to have to be the case where they're having to unite the country, and it's going to be a tough job, and it's not, and everyone's got to come together, and that's my thoughts on it. Yeah. Has anyone got anything else to add?
No, Rich, I think it was spot on. Spot on with what you said. I think everybody was spot on with the words we mentioned there. But all I can say is good riddance to Trump.
Good riddance to Trump. Okay, we're off to our next segment. We're going to look at health and fitness during lockdown. Hint, hint. That's why you're on, Nick. Obviously, we're in a national lockdown, and I'm going to speak from personal experience. I signed up to the gym. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get. I did it in, I think, December, and I was like, yeah, I started to go into the gym regularly. And obviously, this lockdown is just disrupting my plans. I've had to think of kind of alternative ways to obviously get my exercise in. But as a personal trainer, Nick, or PT, because I know the lingo, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, and just to give me and the guys and our listeners some advice that you would give to people during this lockdown.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so the first question I'm going to ask is, what are some changes that we can do to maintain a healthy and active lifestyle and routine while the world is adapting, having to adapt to limiting the exposure of COVID-19?
I think it really depends on who you or who the individual is before lockdown happens. You know, if you're a full-on athlete or someone that's very serious about the gym, you know, you've got that kind of fitness mindset or that healthy mindset 24/7, not an awful lot is really going to change, apart from the fact that you can't go to the gym, which is just really a big building with machines and a lot of social media going on. I mean, the most important things that we need to do, I think, in lockdown is to maintain a healthy lifestyle, as in healthy eating. Think about what we're eating. It's very easy to kind of, especially during the first lockdown when it was all brand new to us. I mean, now we're a little bit more, we understand it a little bit better. Like, it was very easy to just binge Netflix while eating Ben and Jerry's at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we probably don't really want to do that if we want to be healthy. So Simon's like, yeah, that's me.
Not anymore.
He's doing it. I can see him doing it now. So, you know, we still got to think about what we are eating. That's number one, is food over fitness every single time. It's more about what you consume rather than what you output. The input is more important than the output. You know, so we can, you know, what's wrong with, you know, if we look back 20, 30 years to when we did PE and we did jumping jacks and push-ups and mountain climbers and running up and down the stairs, high knees, you know, lunges, squats, things like that. So, you know, if that's, you know, let's maybe, you know, maintain that kind of thing on a daily basis. You know, I think the most important thing is to get some fresh air. You know, go outside, breathe. There's a lot of clients that I had before lockdown that now they've kind of, most PTs, including myself, we've changed to, we're now online based, or pretty much most of it online. We do a little bit outside maybe, but generally it's online because we still got to make money, so it's got to be online. Some people don't necessarily want to do that, and they don't want to meet me outside because it's cold or whatever the excuse might be. So they're kind of not doing anything at all. So to those kind of people, I would say the most important thing is you just go outside and breathe. You know, still chat to people, try and maintain that kind of that healthy mindset as well. I mean, we've got things like Zoom, you've got WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. We're quite advanced. You know, it's not like the war, for example, 100 years ago when we couldn't speak to anyone if we was really isolated then. We're not really that isolated now. But again, I think it, you know, it comes down to what you were like as a person before lockdown really happened. You know, I mean, if you've just decided to wake up one day and decide to get fit, or, you know, turn over a new chapter of health and fitness, you're probably going to struggle a little bit because you haven't got the gym to go to. But yeah, you know, I guess to answer your question in a nutshell, you know, get outside, breathe clean air, chat to people when you can do, whether it's in local supermarket or on Zoom, for example. You know, and think about what you're eating, think about what you're consuming, you know, make better choices. There's no good and bad. Good and bad is not really something we want to say as an example, because it's, you know, most people would know a chicken breast fillet was probably better than the tub and Ben and Jerry's, except for Simon, of course, but, you know.
No, but I just made the wrong choice.
Yeah. So, you know, generally, you know, just think about, you know, getting some fresh air, and if you can add a little bit of exercise in on your own. I mean, there's plenty of free stuff to do as well, or plenty of PTs like me that will charge you. But you know, just move basically, and that's probably the best answer I can really give. I mean, all we're really missing is the gym, and the gym's just a building, just like your house, really.
I think that's the thing, Nicky.
I like that answer.
People are just at home so much now, especially with, you know, with working from home. And I know Mrs. Selkirk, she's been working from home for like the past 10 months, like, you know, quite a lot of people have since the first lockdown, and there's never gone back into the office since. And it's just, and she struggles getting out at times as well, particularly now because she's busy during the day doing her work, and then it gets dark quicker and everything. So then going for a walk, she doesn't really want to go for a walk in the dark. But the food thing is interesting because the good old obligatory post Christmas, post New Year diet, and not diet in the sense of where you're necessarily eating less, but you're more conscious of what you're putting in, like you said, Nick, and you're thinking about what you're putting in, because particularly when you live in an area as we do that has takeaways that are very cheap, and it's very convenient to just buy takeaway food. So I know for us, something that's worked really well since I went back to work in education. Mrs. Selkert's been like meal prepping on the Sundays, so maybe cooking a few meals that we've then just got in the fridge ready to bung in the microwave when I get home. So it's convenient in that sense, but it's also it's not crap that we're eating. And that that is helping, and we've only been, this is like the third week, and that is something that we're both seeing differences with, in terms of and energy, if you like, particularly with not being able to get out so much, because I do like to run, but I'm in that vicious cycle that I do like to run because it helps with my mental health as well and stress. But then if I've had quite a long day at work, I don't want to then come home and I can't. I need to really force myself to go running, and that's the issue that I have. It's forcing myself to go running. So one thing that usually does work for me, but is if I buy a new running t-shirt, then I want to try it out and go running. But I can't keep buying a new running t-shirt, every day when I want to go running. So I've already building up quite a big collection, and I just need to just wear them quite regularly. So I know that I need to force myself to go. But the eating thing, Nick, as I said, that just rings bells with me, because in a good way, because that's what we're doing, and it is something that is working so far, because we usually have takeaway Fridays, and we've not had a takeaway since the 5th of January, which was my birthday, and that was the only reason we had a takeaway. So we're not doing too bad on that front.
It's it's different strokes for different folks. Everyone's situation is different. The one thing I will point, when you said the word diet, most people look at the word diet like it's restrictive. We don't want to do, because that's not good for you. Your diet is just basically everything in versus everything out, like your input of calories versus your output of calories. Like the word diet is generally, like you said, like restricting something, like, oh, I want a chocolate bar, I'm not allowed to have a chocolate bar, which is just silly. But it's different. It's mad. You're talking about people working from home. It's like it's almost been a year of a lot of, probably maybe 90% of the country just sitting at home, really. And it's an individual basis. I mean, there's the basic sort of 101 information, which is move and things like that. But of course, a lot of people are very isolated at the moment, like you were saying. I mean, luckily, I don't know Richard too well, but I think we're all sort of lucky that we've got family and friends, etc., around us, or we're living with them. Well, some people are completely alone. So it's a sad situation, really, but it's an individual case by case, probably case study. But the basics are always going to be there. Try and eat the healthier food. Doesn't mean you can't have the takeaway, etc. But generally, things that you cook are probably a lot better than things that you buy pre-packaged or cheap takeaways, for example. If you can, I know the weather's not very nice at the moment, but if you can, just breathe some clean air, even if it's just for, try and give yourself a lunch break, which sounds it's probably been a good 7 or 8 years since I had an office job. So I've probably forgotten that office mentality and what it's like to kind of sit at your desk. But the few people, or maybe the 5 or 6 people that I know that have got office jobs and they're now working from home, they all say the same thing, is that they don't stop. And it's kind of 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, and they're doing 2 or 3 hours more work, and they haven't eaten. They haven't, like, the TV might be on in the background, but they haven't took a break from literally what we're doing now, like staring at a computer and typing. And that brings in a lot of other things, like the rounded shoulders, things like that. You've got the rounded shoulders, you've got the bad back, the posture issues and things. And it's kind of like, you don't have, if you enjoy running, go for a run, obviously, but you don't have to just go running. And if you've got the bad back and the bad knees and stuff like that, you definitely want to go running. Go running if you enjoy running, but you shouldn't be forced to go running. If you can walk, even just, walk into the shop or walk into your takeaway shop, and not using Uber Eats, that's a start. Things like that. I think the best quote I've ever heard, and I'm not sure if I made it up, I might have made it up. Everyone wants to play the cup final like today, but you've got to play the fixtures that lead up to the cup final, or you won't get to the cup final. So it's kind of like people see the end result normally by looking at Instagram influencers and whatever, where they see some like ripped guy in me, for example, like, they see that and say, that's what I want to look like. But that's the cup final right there. But every single day, you've got to add these small changes that get the big result. You got to play the Saturday afternoon games, or the cold, wet Tuesday evening games in the middle of nowhere in front of 20 people on a waterlogged pitch. If you don't play that, you can't get to Wembley. And it's the small changes we make every day. So I guess if anyone, or you three boys, or if anyone else was listening that was stuck at the moment and they don't know what to do because the gym's closed and they can't cook and things like that, I'd probably say just get a pen and paper out, write things down, make a little list, and just try and, what can you do to change that? If you have 50 chocolate bars a day, can I just have 25? And already, like, it's not healthy by a boring personal trainer's PT, as Richard said, kind of mentality or way of looking at it, but it's a lot better than 50, if you just, and it's these small little changes. Can you just get up from your desk, do a few kind of stretches, and just the little changes, that's all. And give it a few weeks, a month maybe, stick with a certain routine and see if it's working. If it's not, change it up a little bit. But there has to be a change to make a change, so it's just it's the little things. It's the little things that snowball, like we say, it's but yeah, little changes, big result. And that's probably the best way to really answer the question for as a whole. If there's anything to add on to that, ask me, obviously.
Jess, have you got anything to add, mate?
No, I was just going back to what you said, Nick. I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about like office workers and kind of just in that mentality. A lot of I'd say, at my company, a lot of people are working from home and they're office based normally. So that mentality of kind of like 9 to 7, 9 to 8, even, that's almost it's embedded now in a lot of members of staff because of the mentality. They want to feel like they've got a lot of work they can complete at home without getting that pressured as well. So again, it's that kind of mentality. Can you, you have to do almost reenact as to what you're doing in the office, as to how you used to do it, getting up a bit and having breaks. That was always something we were told. Get up and have at least a break, stand up, walk around for a bit.
Honestly, put it in your journal or your timetable each day, like 30 minutes, go outside. Like, or stand up and just move your body about a little bit, because you will be hunched over like this. Reverse it, bring it back the other way, squeeze your shoulder blades together. But I would always say to someone, if they are making a diary or a journal, write things down, because no one writes things down anymore. Everything's on phones or iPads, laptops, etc. So write it down, post-it notes, stick it on the freezer, on the mirror, or the back of the door. Do this today, do that today. And that you have to we're creatures of habit. You have to kind of break the habit. How long does it take for someone to stop smoking, for example? Things like that. And we have to slowly but surely cut down. You can't really go cold turkey on most things. Write it down, have a plan, stick to it, adapt it, and progress. Really, that's probably the answer.
Oh, cool.
Thank you, Nick. I'm just gonna add something. What I kind of do, I know it's gonna sound ridiculous. I've got a Nintendo Switch, and I've got me and my little girl. We do dance 2020. We got like the dance game and the Ring Fit, and the dance game. It's a serious workout. Yeah, because a lot of people, and there's even apps on your phone. I thought it was a joke, like, because I bought it and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I could do this, yeah. And my daughter's very energetic, and we did like 3 or 4, and I'm sweating, and I'm having to. We got to stop. We need to get a drink of water, and I've noticed when I've played the Switch with her, it's easier getting her to bed at night, or when I've taken her for a walk, it's easier getting her to bed at night. So like obviously today, because of the schoolwork, we haven't had the chance to do it. So I know it's like my girlfriend's putting her to bed now. For Feach, it's a bit more difficult to put her to bed. So obviously tomorrow we're gonna be playing a lot of the Switch or going for walks or stuff like that. Just because it's that mental and it's that social. It's doing everything, like, you know, you're moving, you're having fun, and it's not just good for your physical health, but for your mental health as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one last question I want to ask you, Nick. Yeah, and this is going to be a bit of a advertisement for you. Why should someone get a personal trainer or PT?
Number one, because I don't want to get kicked out of my house. I need to pay the bills, so I'd appreciate any money.
Don't care about that, mate.
But
Don't care about that, mate.
Number two, less importantly, make sure you're doing things right and correctly, and you're not going to hurt yourself. That's probably the biggest thing. You know, anyone can kind of turn on some really dodgy YouTube workout and do something really poor with some, you know, doing squats with someone that's never done proper squats in their life, for example. It's such terrible form out there, it's ridiculous. But make sure you're doing things properly, you know, assess, like, give you a plan, basically. I think if we're going back to the old world, maybe, and not in today's time frame, but most people, they go to work 9 to 5, for example, when they're like, right, do spreadsheets, send emails, phone calls, and you do this, got to get to work at 9 o'clock, got to leave work at 5 o'clock. But then when they're left to their own devices outside of that time, they kind of go off the rails a little bit, and they don't really know what they're doing. So it's the same coming back to the fitness stuff and I don't really know what to do in lockdown. You kind of need a bit of structure, and everyone, like, even PTs have PTs, to be honest. So we all need someone to basically tell us what to do, really, because we're all lazy creatures of habit and whatnot. So I guess it's to assess your form, make sure you're doing stuff properly, give you a plan, something to actually do. Otherwise, you're just going to do easy stuff. I would, so I'm guessing you would as well. And encouragement. I've just got the missus shouting out encouragement. To be honest, you know, she just shouted out encouragement, Nick. Right? True story. She just brought me over this huge bottle of beer, right? So let's knock back a few beers and talk about fitness.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. And the pen and chair is over there as well. So you need someone to tell you what to do, basically. Yeah, you need that structure, that routine, that plan, and that, you know, someone to give you that plan, really, to be honest. That's probably the main thing. The PTs, a good PT anyway, would tell you or give you what you need and not what you necessarily want. You know, you might want to be that Arnie in the 70s type of physique, or have that type of physique, you know, but what you need is to sort out your lower back pain, for example, or your knee and stuff like that, and your old man hips and whatever, you know, which all come down from sitting in the chair. So little things like that, really. And try and keep you on the straight path, and not, you know, what kind of supplements should I have, and what Instagram influencer should I buy a PDF off of, and nonsense like that, really. So there you go.
Well, just going back there, there's a saying that Bret the Hitman Hart used to say: you can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. See?
Oh,
really? Yeah.
Is that a perfect transition into the next segment?
Yes. Well, I was just
Anyone would have thought that were planned.
I know. See, Jez is such a professional. Alfred's a professional. So we're gonna move on. Thanks for that. Honestly, Nick, I think what you're offering is, because I think what you were saying about, I think people like habits and stuff like that, and I think you offering that service where you're giving people that structure is very valuable. And I don't know if you realize how important it will be, because you're not just helping them out in terms of their physical fitness, but their mental fitness as well. But I'm not gonna let that sweet transition into our next segment, which is we're gonna talk about wrestling. And I've prepared some questions, and I'm just gonna get my notepad out because I do write things down. By the way, see the page. See, look, there's my notes. Brilliant. Okay.
Just so you don't forget, Rich, and you know, memory problems and all.
Yeah, could be a prick, but anyway, don't worry, we'll censor that out. Don't worry. Okay, so we're gonna keep it real. We're gonna segment into our WWE quickfire questions. Yeah. So I've prepared these questions, and I'm gonna ask you, Nick, and then I might throw it to the other guys if I feel like it. But you're the special one today, innit? You're the great one.
The great one, the chosen one.
Yeah, you chose it. You see what I did there, mate?
Yeah, getting them all in now.
Okay, then. So, Nick, best wrestler. Who's your best wrestler?
Ever?
Yeah, ever.
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Best match you've watched?
There's different matches for different reasons.
Just best match. Come on.
Recently, with as recent as 2 weeks ago, was it NXT? Like the stuff that Finn Balor's doing with Kyle O'Reilly, and then you've got Pete Dunne in there, and you've got like Walter and was it Dragunov from NXT UK? But then that's a completely different best match to, let's say, Undertaker Mankind Hell in the Cell. Do you know what I mean?
That's my one.
I mean, different strokes, different folks. So I don't know. Let's just say Undertaker Mankind, keep you sweet.
Okay, keeping it sweet. Okay. Okay, what's your best moment? Like the best moment, like if you wanted to get someone to watch wrestling, what is like that one moment you were like, wow.
Not Katie Vick. Anyone who don't know that and they're listening now are now Googling Katie Vick.
Yeah.
You've got you have the technical kind of masterpiece, like the sort of Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles stuff.
Okay, what about the wow? That wow, like the moment where your jaw dropped. First time your jaw dropped. It's got
to be Foley off the top of the cell. Because when people say, this stuff's fake or whatever, it's like, well, watch this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's.
And that was real. That was real, wasn't it? I mean, when it happened.
The guy's being thrown off a 20-foot cell. I mean, obviously they exaggerate and say 50 foot, but it's still a pretty big impact for something that's not real.
Well, Jim Ross normally bigs it up, doesn't he? My God Almighty, he's broken it.
I was reading once upon a time in one of Mick Foley's books the way he doesn't like the way they exaggerate. It's like when they talk about like the Raw stage used to be about like 5 or 6 foot high, and they'd be like thrown off the top of the stage, and Jim Ross would say, I was thrown off a 20-foot stage, and Foley would be like head and shoulders above the stage. So either he's like 22 foot tall, or there's some sort of exaggeration going on. It is what it is. It's wrestling. Enjoy it.
Entertainment.
Okay, then. Next question. Most unlikely champion.
Probably that's been a champion.
Yeah, that's been a champion where after you watch the match, you were like, what the hell just happened?
Probably like Jinder Mahal. Someone like that. Probably someone like that. Someone that's just not pushed or anything. Just
yeah.
you know, it doesn't. I mean, it's great for, or the first time Sheamus beat Cena, and I think Cena kind of fell off the rope, and it was a tables match, and he went through the table, and it was kind of, this wasn't supposed to happen kind of thing, and it's shock value. I can understand that, being that I'm old enough now to kind of understand things, but I guess Jinder Mahal, probably. That's it. Don't hinder Jinder.
Okay, don't hinder Jinder. Okay, best theme song. Best entrance music.
Oh
DX.
yeah.
Maybe. The original, I don't know if they've changed it a few times, but the original maybe. But yeah, maybe. I mean, King of Kings is good. Motorhead.
Yeah.
Music from the Attitude Era, I think. Yeah, the theme song.
Yeah.
Anything from that era was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best finisher.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment, it seems like the surprise roll up. No one ever kicks out of that.
Really? It's a 24/7 title match.
Yeah. It's like every week there's 20 surprise roll ups.
Yeah.
I always thought the best finisher was something that you could do to everyone, and it puts everyone down. So if you go back in history, you've got the DDT. No one ever kicks out a DDT. It's only been. It's where I used to be maybe a hardcore fan, and now I'm more of a casual fan. And every big match has got 20 finishing moves before there's a finisher, and the finisher's not finisher, or the finishing move is not the finisher move, if that makes sense anyway. But I think
people never used to kick out with finishers, did they?
No,
never.
I mean,
No,
I mean, if they did, it was a big deal. I'm gonna say Sweet Chin Music.
Yeah. Back kick.
Because you could hit it from anywhere and just, like that,
yeah,
really.
And it was over.
Yeah, and you could do it to anyone as well.
Okay. Now this is I think I'm proud of this question, yeah. So, be kind. Okay. So you're gonna make your ultimate match. So what type of match would it be? And who would fight in this match? Either if they're dead or alive, new wrestler or older wrestler.
Ladder matches, ladder match has always been my go-to gimmick match.
Who's taking part?
I prefer one-on-one ladder matches to 8-man ladder matches, only because they seem a bit too choreographed in a way. You've got to go for, in my opinion, you've got to go for the kind of 95 to 97 Shawn Michaels when he just bumped for everyone. And maybe that kind of 2000 Jeff Hardy, and just have them kind of just bump around for each other, really. That's probably, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm on the spot, so I'm just saying Michaels, 97 Michaels, Attitude Michaels, Jeff Hardy, before all the abuse and the injuries. All that stuff. Healthy Hardy versus Attitude HBK.
Thank you, Nick. That was all the questions. I'm gonna throw it to you guys, but you've got to do. I gave Nick the chance, to think about. But you guys, it's gonna be quick fire. And I'm going to start with you, Simon, yeah? You ready?
Yes, go on.
Okay, then. Okay, best wrestler.
Oh, I'm going from the childhood, the Attitude Era. It'd have to be Stone Cold and The Rock. I say it has to be both, just because of the entertainment.
No, just one.
Well, I'm merging the two, Rich. I can't separate them. So your quick answer is Stone Cold and The Rock.
Jeez. Okay. Okay. Best match.
Oh, you went quiet then. Didn't get that.
Sorry. Best match.
Best match. I'm gonna agree, Nick. I think it has to be that Hell in a Cell match. That was just. It was that moment again, like Nick said. All the naysayers, wrestling's not real. Look at that guy with a tooth stuck up his nose that's just come out and tell us it's not real. Yeah.
Okay, best moment.
Best moment. Maybe just one of the comedy moments again. I think when the stuff that Stone Cold did with McMahon, that whole storyline, when the beer baths, the many beer baths, from the truck. I used to love the comedy elements, and so I think yeah.
Okay. Most unlikely champion.
Difficult for a different reason. Probably Foley, and he was big at the time, but he doesn't look like a champion. He never looked like a champion, did he? And it was quite surprising at the time, just because of who he was. Even though he had a lot of traction, it was like, oh, he doesn't have that look that the typical champions of that time had.
Yeah. Okay. Best theme song.
I think again, I'm agreeing with Nick. The DX, the original DX song. When that doof, doof, that hit in.
Yeah.
That was just like, yes, they're coming out and they're going to do some outlandish.
Yeah. Okay. Best finisher.
I'm going to have to say the Stunner, but only when it was done to The Rock, because of the way The Rock used to sell that Stunner. That it was completely over the top, but again, the comedy element, the way he sold that, and that was just something that always stands out for me.
Okay. Last question is, okay, your ideal match. What's the match type, and who takes part in it?
Oh, this is a really tough one now. I quite like. I like a lot of the wrestlers, like I said, like Austin and The Rock, and the way they used to sell stuff, even though they didn't necessarily have a great move set. But I actually I like a lot of the high flyers. So some of the daring stuff that they do. It's a really tough choice. I quite like Ricochet at the moment. Some of the stuff he does it's just like going to the next level. So maybe somebody Ricochet-ish. It'll have to be Ricochet for now, because you put me on the spot and I'm trying to buy myself time.
Okay. I know you are.
Yeah, maybe the early days Jeff Hardy again, just because of some of those moves that he used to pull off. He still does some of them now, but it's not quite the same when you're in your mid-40s and you've used yourself quite a lot. So I think something like that. Yeah, some of the high flyers, but then you had Eddie Guerrero. He used to pull off some great moves for the time, and the charisma and the way he used his character. And that's a really tough one. It's a really tough one. Stop looking at your wrist.
No, I'm looking. Do you know why I'm looking? Because it's meant to be quick fire, in it.
And you take the spot. I'm just going to have to say Ricochet against early days Jeff Hardy.
All right, then. Thank you. Jeez. Okay, Jez, you're not going to let us down, yeah? It's going to be quick fire, in it, like fire, unlike Simon.
Fire away.
All right, then. Best wrestler.
Best wrestler for me, Stone Cold, hands down.
Okay.
Stone Cold.
Best match.
Best match. Now, I think the best match I ever saw, I know you guys have kind of gone through with the Undertaker and Mankind one, but I think the best match I saw was Bret the Hitman Hart against Stone Cold. I think that match was pretty intense. And it was the only time I'd seen Stone Cold not quit. And he didn't submit. I think he passed out. Must have been blood pouring down his face, but that was an incredible match. That kind of put him on the map. Yeah. Stone Cold did, I think, from that match.
Yeah. Best moment.
Best moment would probably be. I think the best moment was when Shawn Michaels first won the title, when he actually won the World Heavyweight title. I think that was one. Seeing the ring and the whole celebration, the tears, how much it meant to him. I think that was pretty good. You could tell from when he was a kid. I know Nick used to look up to HBK as well. But, you know, what I mean, that's all he wanted it to ever be. And I think for him, it was a dream he'd fulfilled as a young boy. And seeing the emotion on his face and how he, you know, what I mean, won something. It's almost like, you know, what I mean, that could be anybody in any type of sport, even though it was entertainment at its finest. So I think that was probably, him winning that title was probably one of the best moments I saw on TV, in wrestling, shall I say.
Yeah. Most unlikely champion.
Varies really. I mean, we're going to say Gilbert winning a hardcore title. I mean, that was just. I mean, I don't know what happened to Gilbert.
Wasn't it?
I don't know what happened to Gilbert, but that was just.
He returned. He was on Raw. It was on Raw yesterday.
Did he? Oh Lord. Best themes. best theme song.
Oh, it has to be Mark Henry's Sexual Chocolate. That was just. I mean, that has to be just the most funniest music ever. I mean, you come down with some sort of romantic melody and stuff.
Sorry.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
For a guy that big.
Sexual Chocolate by Mario. Okay. Best finisher. I've got tears in my eyes. Jeez. Best finisher.
Oh, best finisher. I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm on a par here. It's either the stunner or the crippler crossface by Benoit. I mean, those moves were. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching Nitro again, so seeing him in the ring, I know obviously what happened with him, obviously personal life was pretty tragic and stuff and what he did. But I mean, as a wrestler, he was probably the most technically gifted wrestler at his time. It was almost like the baton was passed to him from Bret Hart to him, really. I mean, it's just a shame what happened, but I think his move was impressive, and Stone Cold was just, as you said, gold dust. You know what I mean? Vince McMahon was at the end of that many times. Okay, so your idol match, what type of match would it be, and who would be in it? Thought something else about. I don't want to say it on a.
What?
Some of the matches back in the day. I was like, no, I don't think that would be appropriate for this show.
Don't worry about it, man. We'll bleep it out. We'll edit it out. Go and say it.
No, it's all right. I think the match that that would have loved to have seen would have been a tables, ladders, and chairs match between the bad guy Razor Ramon. I know he used to be obviously, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think that would be a match I would love to see how that would have been
epic.
Both bad guys, meaning they don't like anyone. That would be a match I'd love to see.
Yeah. All right, then that's all the questions. Okay, I'm gonna answer the questions. So I'm gonna answer them questions myself. So my best wrestler.
In quick time, aren't you, Rich?
Yeah, quick time. Wow.
No dilly dallying. You know, we weren't allowed.
Wow, Kitty's got his claws out today. My best wrestler, Ultimate Warrior. Best match, I would have to say it was Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. Like, I just love that match. I wouldn't say my best moment.
Not the one from WCW, surely.
I think it was. I think that's the match I'm thinking of. Okay. I wouldn't say this is my best moment, but the moment that it literally gave me nightmares was when you remember when Jake the Snake bit
I remember that.
What's it? Savage. When he bit Savage, that was an epic moment. Like the way that snake was just chewing his arm, chewing at him, and yeah, that was an amazing moment. The most unlikely champion for me was Rey Mysterio. Is because, like Mick Foley, he is not his build alone. Like he's a very small guy. He's a very technical fighter. But when you're going against some of the guys that he was facing at the time and he was winning, it was just, and the joy that he experienced when he won that title finally, it was like amazing. Best theme song, it has to be Hulk Hogan's one. Loved it. I was all about the Hulkamania back in the days. The best finisher, I would have to agree, was the stunner, because I think it just got used so much times. I can't remember where I think Austin just went crazy and he stunned everyone. Like he was absolute carnage where he was stunning everyone. That's when I fell in love with it. My ideal match would have to be Hell in a Cell, and it would have to be the Ultimate Warrior versus Austin. I think that would, because they're very intense fighters, and I think that match would have just been epic. It would just been epic. Yeah. Is anyone got anything else to add?
I was going to say, I
want to change most of mine.
Oh, you've made me reminisce now on mine. But I think I was going to add, when you said about like favorite matches, I think if it was obviously between the men and the women, if there was a favorite female match, what I'd like to see as a matchup, it would have been a mud wrestling match between Trish Stratus.
This is getting cut out. Man. No way. I'm not getting Me-too'd, man. Go away. Not having that, mate.
Sorry, Wilson.
Jez, you're going back to when you were a teenager, aren't you?
I'm sure they probably did, to be honest. If you just check
they might have done it, yeah. Sonny. Was it Sonny? Who else was there?
Nah, mate.
Yeah, triple threat.
No.
Triple threat.
Jeez. We're getting
Look for the women's title. There you go.
No. Okay. Does anyone have anything else to add that won't get us taken off? Well, decency.
I think Jez has just ended that on that note, hasn't he? He took him back. He took himself back to his teen years.
It's got to be done,
And the
isn't it?
fantasies that he obviously had.
Directions. Jesus Christ. Nick, I would like to thank you for coming on, and I can't end the show. Jeez. Okay, sorry, putting my professional head on. Okay, thank you for listening.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go, professional now. Yeah. Thank you for listening to our first podcast of 2021. I just hope everyone's just stay safe, and they've got their health. And I know this lockdown is getting very troublesome, but we just got to ride it out until the wheels fall off, and it will end someday. And Nick, I'd like to thank you for coming on and just giving us the insight into being a bit more healthy, and I hope everyone can apply that to their lives. I like to thank Simon, Jez. I don't know if I can thank you after that last comment, because we might have to cut you out. But thank you, and that's us signing out. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.